Hey everyone! In today's video, I'm going to show you how I created this beautiful garden house environment from scratch. We'll go through the complete process, from finding and downloading the right assets to placing them in the scene with a professional touch. I'll also introduce you to some amazing tree and foliage packs that can make your garden environment look even more stunning and lively. Plus, I'll show you how to change tree colors, create a stylish arch tunnel, and model it in Maya or Blender, then bring it into Unreal Engine. We'll decorate the tunnel with hanging bells, vines, and foliage, and add lots of beautiful flowers to enhance the mood. For lighting and atmosphere, we'll use an HDRI backdrop and add volumetric fog for that dreamy garden feel. And finally, yes, we'll finish it off with a smooth walkthrough render to bring everything to life. So let's jump right in and start building this magical scene together. Alright, let's get started. First, we'll head over to the Epic Games launcher and open the Unreal Engine library. From here, I'm launching Unreal Engine version 5.5.4 by clicking on the launch button. Once Unreal Engine is up and running, you'll see a menu screen. From there, we'll select Games as our project category. Now, out of all the templates, we're going to choose the third-person template. It's perfect for this kind of environment. Next, click on the little folder icon to choose a location where you want to save your project. Once you've set the location, we'll give our project a name. Let's call it Rusty House for now. Don't worry, we can always rename it later if needed. And finally, hit that Create button. And just like that, Unreal Engine will start loading your brand new project. Now that Unreal Engine is open, let's quickly get familiar with the basic navigation. To move around in the viewport, simply right-click and hold with your mouse, and then use the WASD keys on your keyboard, just like you would in a game. To move forward, backward, left, and right. To move up and down, you can press the E and Q keys. Once you get the hang of this, navigating your scene becomes super smooth and fun. Alright, let's head over to the top left corner of the screen and click on the File menu. From the drop-down, select New Level. Now, a panel will pop up with a few options. Here, we'll simply choose Empty Level and then click on Create. This gives us a clean, fresh start. A blank canvas where we'll build our beautiful garden house environment from scratch. And just like that, our new level is ready. But right now, it's completely empty. So let's start adding some life to it. First, on the left-hand side, click on the Selection Mode dropdown and switch over to Landscape Mode. This gives us a full landscape editor to work with. You can adjust the settings here if you want, but I'm going to keep the default size for now. Now, let's click on the Create button, and our landscape will begin loading. Once it's done, here it is. Our brand new terrain is ready to go. Now we'll simply switch back to selection mode to continue building. Right now, the scene looks pretty dark, and that's because there's no light in it yet. So let's go ahead and add some lighting. To do that, head to the top left corner, click on the window menu, and scroll down until you find Environment Light Mixer. Then click on it. This will open up a new panel called the Environment Light Mixer. From here, we can easily add all the essential lighting elements, like directional light, skylight, atmospheric fog, volumetric clouds, and more. Just click on each of them one by one to add them to your scene. And look at that! Unreal Engine starts bringing everything to life with light. With Unreal Engine's default lighting setup, you'll automatically get a sky, some clouds, fog, and even sunlight in your scene. But here's something to note. What we usually call sunlight in the engine is actually known as directional light. It's the main light source that acts like the sun and helps define the overall mood of your environment. Now it's time to bring in the house model. I personally modeled this house in Maya, but feel free to use any house model you like. You can even download one from the internet if needed. After modeling it in Maya, I did all the texturing in Substance Painter, where I gave it a rich, rusty look with details like water puddles and reflections. These little touches really make the model feel epic and realistic. For the windows, I added a soft blue tint with a bit of reflection, just enough to give it that natural, lived-in look. And honestly, for my scene, this setup works perfectly. Now let's switch back to Unreal Engine. The first thing we should do is save our project file, so just press Ctrl+S on your keyboard. A panel will pop up. Here, we'll create a new folder and name it Maps. Then inside that Maps folder, we'll name our level Rusty House. And finally, click on Save. Always good to save your work before moving forward. It keeps everything organized and safe. Now I've imported the house model into Unreal Engine, and I've also applied all the textures from Substance Painter, so it's starting to look really nice. But if you notice, the normal maps aren't displaying correctly just yet. To fix this, we need to do a quick adjustment. First, select the entire model from the outliner, then go to the top left corner and switch from Selection Mode to Modeling Mode. Now, on the left side under Attributes, you'll find an option called Normals. Just click on it. After that, wait a few seconds for it to process. Then scroll down and hit Accept at the bottom. And that's it. Our model's normals are now fixed. No more overly smooth or broken shading. Everything looks just the way it should. Now it's time to bring in some road models. We'll start by opening Fab and searching for road railing in the search bar. Then, under the price filter, just click on Free, and you'll see a bunch of great road assets available at no cost. Now, based on what fits your scene best, choose the one you like. Here's the one I picked, the Modular Curb Kit. It's a really nice, high-quality, rock-style road set that works perfectly for our environment. To add it to the project, just hit the Add to Project button, and the asset will be imported into your Unreal scene. You'll find this model inside the content browser under the Fab folder, then go into Megascans, 3D, Medium, and there you'll see the Modular Curb Kit folder. This road rock set actually comes with a total of 6 different models. We'll start by dragging all of them into the scene. Now to rotate them precisely by 90 degrees, go to the top right corner and make sure that rotation snapping is turned on. Once that's enabled, just rotate the model by 90 degrees and then slightly drag it backward to position it properly. After that, we'll start arranging all the road pieces one by one, placing them neatly in a line so that none of them are overlapping or stacked on top of each other. Now it's time to group these models together. Simply select all the road pieces that you've placed in the scene. Then right-click, and you'll see an option called Group. Or you can just press Ctrl+G as a shortcut. Once grouped, you'll notice a green outline appear around the entire selection. That means your group has been successfully created. Now let's take the group we just created, select it, and then duplicate it to move it closer to the house entrance. Once it's in place, we'll adjust its size a bit to fit the area better. Now, to make individual edits, we need to ungroup the models. To do that, just right-click on the group, go to Group, and click on Ungroup. And that's it. And the group is now separated, and you can select and move each model one by one as needed. Now we're going to create a rock road pathway, and this time we'll give it a slightly curved shape for a more natural look. To do this, we'll duplicate the rock models one by one and rotate them just a little bit each time to form a smooth curve. This way, the shape stays clean and nothing gets distorted. We'll place each rock manually, one after the other, aligning them carefully to keep everything neat. Yes, I know, and this method might feel a bit time-consuming, but trust me, it's totally worth the effort because once it all comes together, the scene is going to look absolutely beautiful. So for this section, I'm going to fast forward the video and we'll continue once the pathway is ready. Once we've got one clean, straight path created, you can simply duplicate it in a straight line to extend it further. Now, to create the same kind of pathway on the opposite side, we'll select all the road assets from the right side, every piece we just placed. Then, right-click and go to Transform, Mirror X. This will mirror the entire selection along the X-axis, giving us a perfect flipped copy. Now just move it across to the left side of the entrance, make a few slight adjustments if needed, and that's it. We now have beautiful road pathways on both sides of the house entrance, bringing more balance and structure to our scene. Now it's time to add a rock pathway right in the middle of the entrance, between the two side paths. To do this, simply place some of the same rock models in the center. Lower them slightly and rotate them a bit to better fill in the empty space, since that area is looking a little too plain right now. Once placed, we'll duplicate and move them slightly downward and scale them down to better fit the space. We'll also adjust the Y-axis scale to stretch or squeeze them as needed. To add a bit of uniqueness, I'm also mixing in a few different types of rocks, just to break the repetition and make it feel more natural. Once you're happy with the scale and placement, just grab the whole set and duplicate them in a straight line, exactly like I'm doing here. This really helps build up the flow toward the house entrance. Now we'll place a few more rocks in the middle, but this time, we'll position them in a way that leaves space on both the left and right sides. Why? Because we're going to create curved rock pathways on either side of this center path as well, just like we did earlier. So the idea is to set up the middle rocks in a way that naturally leads into those curved side paths, making everything feel more connected and organic. Now we'll start placing rocks one by one, copying and slightly rotating each of them to create a gentle curved pathway. If it doesn't line up perfectly at first, no worries. You can also copy one of the forward-facing rocks, place it in the scene, and use that as a guide. You can even group and ungroup parts of the rocks to fine-tune their scale and position. Since we want this pathway to look a bit more narrow and tall, we'll need to spend a little extra time here, scaling, rotating, and moving each piece carefully to fit the curved flow just right. Take your time with this part. The more effort you put in, the more natural and beautiful it will look in the final scene. Once we've finished building the curved rock path on the right side, we'll start selecting all the rocks one by one manually and then duplicate them toward the x-axis. After that, just right-click, go to Transform, Mirror X, and this will flip the entire path to the opposite side. Now all we have to do is move it into place, and just like that, we've created a perfectly mirrored curved pathway on the left side of the house entrance, completing the whole middle layout beautifully. Now finally, don't forget to save your scene. Just click on Save All, or simply press Ctrl plus Shift plus S on your keyboard, and that's it. Now it's time to set a bookmark in our scene. This makes it super easy to jump back to any important camera angle or location later. So first, go to the exact spot in the scene where you want to save a camera view. Once you're there, look at the top left corner and click on the three-line menu. Scroll down a bit and you'll find the Bookmarks option. Click on it and then select Set Bookmark 1. Now, no matter where you move in the scene, you can just press the number 1 on your keyboard, and you'll instantly jump right back to that saved camera position. Super handy for quickly navigating during your design process. Now it's time to talk about the landscape blend material. Of course, if you'd like, you can create your own custom material from scratch. But in this video, I'm not going to show the full material creation process. If you want a full tutorial on how to make a landscape blend material, just drop a comment below, and I'll try to cover it in one of the upcoming videos. For now, we'll use the same blend material from Unreal Sensei that I showed in a previous video. Why do I keep using it? Because it comes packed with tons of features and it gives you a lot of creative freedom, which is exactly what we need for environments like this. So we'll head over to the Unreal Sensei video you're seeing on screen right now. And in the description, look for the line that says, "Downloadable assets to follow the tutorial." Click on the link just below that, and it'll take you to Unreal Sensei's website. On the right side, simply enter your name and Gmail ID, and the asset pack will be sent to your email. Once it arrives, open the Gmail, go to the email from Unreal Sensei, and click on UE5 Beginner Assets Download. Then just hit Download Assets, and you're good to go. All right, let's jump back into our tutorial and keep building this beautiful scene. And here we have our environment ready. Now it's time to bring in the landscape material that we downloaded earlier. After you've downloaded and unzipped the asset pack, you'll see a folder named Unreal 5. Go ahead and open it. Inside that, navigate to the Castle Assets folder and then go into the Content folder. Now you'll see 4 folders. Simply select all of them and copy them. Next, we need to find the path to our own Unreal project. To do that, head back to Unreal Engine, go to the Content browser, and on the left side, right-click on Content and select Show in Explorer. This will open the location of your current project's content folder. Now just paste those copied folders right into this directory, and that's it. The landscape material and other assets are now successfully migrated into your environment and ready to use. After that, you'll notice a folder named Castle Assets in the content browser. Double-click to open it, and from all the folders inside, go into the one named Landscape. Here you'll find the Landscape instance material. Now, we're going to apply this to our landscape, but we can't simply drag and drop this material onto the landscape. It won't work that way. So instead, first select the landscape, and to make things easier, let's dock the content browser into the layout so we don't have to keep switching back and forth. With the landscape selected, head over to the Details panel, scroll down, and you'll find a slot named Landscape Material. Just drag the Landscape instance material into this slot. Now, once you do this, the landscape will probably turn completely black. Don't panic, this is expected. Next, on the left side, switch from Selection mode to Landscape mode. Right beside the Sculpt option, click on Paint. Now scroll down a little. You'll see a small icon labeled Create Layers from Assigned Material. Simply click on it, and you'll now be able to see all the landscape layers appear and ready to use. Now, to assign these materials to the landscape, you'll see a small plus icon next to each material layer. Click on it and then choose Weight Blended Layer, Normal. This will open the Content Browser panel where you simply need to click Save. Boom! Just like that, the material is applied to the landscape. Now, follow the same process for each material layer. Click the plus icon, select Weight Blended Layer, Normal, and hit Save. Once all the layers are saved, it's time to start painting the materials onto your landscape. Let's say you want to use material 3, which is named B. Just select it and begin painting directly onto the landscape. And as you can see, different types of materials can blend smoothly into each other as you paint. If you want, You can also change the materials later. I'll show how to do that further ahead in the video. Alright, now it's time to replace one of the materials in our landscape blend. So let's head over to Fab and search for brick material. You'll find a lot of great options here. Just scroll down and look for something high quality. And here we go. We've found it. Brick wall worn. A beautiful, high-quality material. Simply click Add to Project, and now this material will be available inside your Fab folder. Next, we need to apply this brick material into our landscape blend, and it's a very easy process. So first, go back to the Castle Assets folder, open the Landscape folder, and double-click on MLandscape Instance to open it. From the list of materials, we're going to replace Material D. Now locate the brick material inside your Fab folder. It comes with 3 texture maps. So here's how to set them up. Drag the base color map into the base color slot. Drag the normal map into the normal slot. And now there's this green map, which is the ORM map. We'll use this for roughness. But first, we need to disable the R and B channels, since only the G channel contains the roughness data. Once that's done, just save the material. Our material D is now replaced with the brick material. Now just go back to your landscape. Now let's adjust the tiling of this material to match the scale of our scene. To do this, open the blend material again, and under Material D, you'll see an option called Size D. This controls the tiling. We'll set it to something like 0.1 or 0.2, depending on how dense or large you want the pattern. Next, let's increase the normal strength so that the bump detail becomes more visible and realistic. But honestly, I'm not really happy with how this brick material looks. So we'll try out a few different materials instead. The process to change them is the same as before. But before that, let's start painting this D material across our road pathway. While painting, if it gets too much in certain areas, we'll hold Shift to erase or deselect parts of it. That way we can paint smoothly and with more control. Also, try increasing the brush size to cover the road area faster. Let's fill the right side first, and then move to the left side, following the path-like shape. Let me just fast forward this process here. And now that it's done, you'll notice this material is looking a bit too shiny. There's too much reflection on it. So let's go into the material settings and find the option called Spec Strength. This controls the specular reflection. Set spec strength to 0.1, which will reduce that excessive shine and give a more natural look to the material. Now we're going to replace the brick material on our landscape because honestly, it's not looking that great. So instead, we'll use a much better material called worn pavement. It has a nice, realistic texture that's perfect for roads or walkways. Just click Add to Project to bring it into our scene. Once that's done, we'll go back and replace the D material in our landscape blend. Simply drag and drop the new material's base color, normal map, and ORM map into the respective slots under the D material. And now, look at the difference. Let's set the tiling to something like 0.4. And there it is! Looks perfect for our road pathway, right? Now that our road pathway is looking great, let's expand the scene a little. That means we're going to make the environment bigger and more detailed. To start, we'll take this fence next to the house and press Ctrl+B on the keyboard. This will automatically highlight the fence model in the content browser. Now, we don't want to directly use the original model, so we'll simply right-click on it in the content browser and choose Duplicate, or use the shortcut Ctrl+D. This way, our original model stays safe and we can freely use the duplicate. Now just drag and drop the duplicate into the scene and place it where needed. Now we need to cut a section of this fence on one side. Don't worry, it's super simple. First, go to the top left corner and switch from Selection Mode to Modeling Mode. Once you're in Modeling Mode, look on the left side panel and click on Model. Here you'll find an option called Plan Cut. Just click on it. Now turn on snapping and rotate the cut plane toward the direction you want to slice. In our case, we want the back portion of the fence, so we'll rotate the cutter accordingly. Gently move and position the cut line until you feel the cut is perfect. Once it looks right, just click Accept, and boom, our model is now more than half cut. Now, if you select this model, you'll notice the pivot point is off. It's far away from the object. To fix that, stay in modeling mode, then click on Xform, and inside it, click Edit Pivot. Now just tap on the center button, and finally, click Accept. That's it. Our pivot point is now perfectly centered. Now just apply the same material from the house's original fence onto this newly cut fence piece. Now we'll take this fence and move it behind the house. Just slide it a little backward and lower it toward the ground. Position it nicely so it sits naturally. Then, hold Alt plus left click and drag to duplicate the fence. Place it on the left side in a straight line like a boundary. Now, we'll continue to duplicate this same fence multiple times to create a full border around the house. Honestly, this is a smart move. I wasn't planning to build this border earlier, but since our scene is going to be large and we'll be painting lots of foliage, I decided it's best to set a clear boundary. Now, let's keep duplicating and rotating this fence to place it nicely on both the left and right sides, giving it a proper structure like an enclosed space. Now, you can manually select each part of the back one by one, but there's actually a much faster way to do it. Just go to the top left corner and click on Perspective, then switch to Top View. This gives us a clean top-down view of the scene. Now it's super easy to select everything. Just click and drag with the left mouse button, and you'll see everything is selected. But wait, the landscape also gets selected with it. So simply hold Ctrl and left-click on the landscape to deselect it. That's it. Now switch back from top to perspective view, and all the models will stay selected. Just grab them and duplicate them forward. Now the complete border is built. If you want, you can even add a door in this border. And from now on, all the work we do will stay within this enclosed area. Outside of it, we'll place mountains, nothing more. Now it's time to create a water fountain or a small lake in front of the house. So first, we'll switch from selection mode to landscape mode, and then click on the Sculpt tool. You'll see a variety of sculpting brushes available here. The first one is the Sculpt brush. If you hold Shift plus left click, it will push the landscape downward, and if you just left click, it will raise the landscape upward. You can try out all the brushes based on your needs. In my case, I want to create something like a lake, so I'll use the brush to sculpt the landscape downward slightly, creating a shallow area where the lake will sit. Then we'll switch back to selection mode and simply click on the plus button. From there, go to Shapes and drag a plane into the scene. Now increase the scale of the plane to make it large enough and move it slightly upward above the sculpted area. Next, go to the Content browser, click on All, and search for water. Here, you'll find a variety of water materials that we can use. Now simply drag the water material onto the plane. It might take a few seconds to compile shaders, and boom! You'll see a nice, realistic water surface appear. You can try out different water materials too if you like, but for this scene, I'll stick with this one as it looks perfect. Now let's switch back to landscape mode, and using the sculpting tools, we'll dig a bit more around the edges to give this water lake a more realistic and natural shape. I'm not happy with the shape of the lake, so to fix it, I'll simply go to landscape mode and select the flatten brush. With this, I'll flatten the area back to how it was originally. Now I'll just grab the water plane and move it slightly upward to adjust it properly. Now I have an idea. I'll make this lake more circular so I can place a fountain in the center. To do that, I'll increase the brush size and use the sculpt brush with the Shift key to carefully create a circular pit. Then I'll use the smooth brush to clean up the edges. After that, I'll switch back to selection mode and place the water plane inside the pit, adjusting it slightly up and down to fit it properly. Now let's open the water material. This is a master material, and to adjust its settings, we'll need to create a material instance. Simply right-click on the master material and click on Create Material Instance. Once the instance is created, just drag and apply it onto the plane. Now, double-click on this material instance to open it and adjust the settings. You can change the water color, increase the wave size, control the flow, and even tweak the caustic size. You can customize this water however you want. For me, the current settings are good enough, so I'll leave it as it is. Finally, press Ctrl plus Shift plus S to save all, and we're done. Now we want to add some wet, puddle-like areas around the lake. For that, switch to landscape mode, then go to the Paint tab. Here, select the material named C. This is a water puddle-like material. Now simply paint this material along the edges of the lake to give it a nice wet, realistic look. Before that, let's take care of one more important thing. You might be seeing a lot of exposure in the scene, so let's fix that. To do this, go to the top and click the plus button, then go to Visual Effects and select Post-Process Volume. Drag this into your scene. You'll see a black box appear. This empty box will control the exposure settings for our scene. Now for this, go to the Details panel of the Post-Process Volume. Scroll down and check the option called Infinite Extent, Unbound. Just make sure it's enabled. Then scroll back up and under the Exposure section, we need to adjust a few things. First, set the metering mode to manual. After that, set the exposure compensation to around 10 or 11 depending on your scene. Make sure not to set it too high. Keep it within limits. This will disable the auto exposure in our scene and make the lighting more comfortable for the eyes. All right, enough talking. Now let's get back to landscape mode. Select the same sea material and start painting it around the edges of the lake. This will make the soil near the lake look wet and muddy, just like it should. Once all of that is done, it's time to prepare a spot for the fountain right in the middle of the lake. So we'll go to landscape mode, select the sculpt brush, and raise the area in the center just a bit. Then, lightly smooth it out. Not too much, just as needed based on your scene. Now use the flatten brush to level the top surface, and that's it. Next, it's time to place the fountain model. I downloaded this model from a site called CG Trader, but you can use any fountain model you like. You can even search for free fountain models on Fab, and you'll find plenty of good options there. Now just adjust the fountain into place, and we'll apply a material to it. Now we'll switch from selection mode to modeling mode. And here under the Create tab, click on Disk, and then click Accept. We'll place this disk at the bottom of the fountain like this, and apply the same water material we used for the lake onto this disk as well. Now, we'll duplicate that water material and tweak it a bit. Change the color to a slightly dark green shade. Then, simply place this disk on every layer or empty part of the fountain, scale it down a bit, and duplicate it upwards. This way you can fill the fountain with water completely. And now just look at the fountain. It's looking really beautiful. Now it's time to place some trees. I found a really great one in the Fab library called the Chestnuts Pack. This pack is amazing and offers a lot of customization options. You might see it marked as paid, but don't worry. Just click on Select a License, then choose Personal. Now you can use this pack for free. Simply click Add to Project. Whether you're using the Unreal Marketplace or Fab, both are great options. Once the Chestnuts Pack is added to your project, we're ready to move forward. Now in the Content browser, you'll see a new folder named Chestnuts Pack. Simply open that folder and turn on the static mesh filter. You'll now be able to see all the available trees. We'll drag the tree number 3 into the scene, or if you want, feel free to try different ones. I'm going with the first tree, and I'll scale it down a bit. Now slowly the scene is really starting to look beautiful. Now, in the folder of the Unreal Sensei pack that you downloaded, you'll find these 3 big mountains, which are snow-covered mountains. We'll start placing them in the scene now. So first, we'll select the mountain and drag it into the scene. This mountain is quite large, so we'll place it farther back so it looks better, and position it beside the house like this. We'll lower it slightly and rotate it. And now just look at it. Now, let's start placing different mountains side by side so that no area looks empty. We'll duplicate one of these mountains and place it on the right side, then move it down slightly. We'll also copy the mountain from the back and bring it forward. Make sure to rotate and lower them a bit to give everything a more natural and random look. The goal is to place mountains all around the house. Don't leave any space empty. Adjust the rotation and scale as needed for variation. And now, just look at it. The scene is really starting to look beautiful. Now the area around our tree is looking a bit empty, so I'm going to place a rock-like element under it. To do this, we'll switch from Selection mode to Modeling mode. Then, under the Create tab, you'll see a lot of basic 3D shapes available. We'll select the one called Disk and place it into the scene. You can increase the subdivisions and radius of this disk as needed for better detail. Once you're happy with the settings, just click Accept. Now this disk is completely flat. It has no thickness at all. To give it some thickness, go to the Model tab in Modeling mode and click on Polygroup Edit. In the settings, scroll down and uncheck Vertex and Edge under the selection filter, keeping only face selected. Now click and drag over the entire disk to select all its faces. After that, you'll see an option called Extrude. Click on it. Then, just move your mouse up or down to control the thickness. I'll make it moderately thick, and when you're done, hit Accept. And that's it. We've created a solid stand for our tree. Now just move it into place, lift the tree slightly, and position it at the center of this new base. Scale the tree down a little bit if needed. Finally, select the tree and apply the same bark material to this base. You can also experiment with different bark materials to get the look you want. Now our main focus is to give this area a true garden-like feel. So for that, we'll go to Fab and add this amazing pack called Interactive Open World Foliage to our project. This pack comes with a lot of beautiful flowers and plants. Once that's added, there's another fantastic pack I highly recommend. It's called temperate vegetation, meadow flowers. This one offers very high quality and visually stunning flowers that will really bring your scene to life. We'll add this pack to our project as well. After both are added, you can simply drag these foliage assets into your scene and test how they look. These small details will make your garden feel much more natural and vibrant. We'll download one more tree pack called Yucca Pack, Yucca filamentosa. The trees in this pack are really high quality. When you go to download it, you'll see a Select License option. Make sure to set it to Personal, but do keep in mind, you can only use the personal license if you're an individual creator or a small team with less than 100K revenue or funding in the past 12 months. That's all you need to follow. Once you select Personal, just click Add to Project to bring it into your scene. If you click View in Library, it'll take you to the Unreal Marketplace, where you can see this pack listed. Simply hit the Refresh button, and you'll find the pack ready in your content browser. Now you can drag these trees into your scene and see how beautiful and high quality they are. Now it's time to paint trees into the scene. In other words, to place them properly. So first, switch from selection mode to foliage mode. From your content browser, drag the chestnut trees into the foliage tab. I usually use around 6 different tree variations. Now simply select all of them, adjust their painting density settings, then click on the paintbrush and try painting them into the scene. If too many trees are appearing at once, you'll need to reduce the paint density. Personally, I prefer using the single brush method so that only one tree is placed at a time. This way you'll know exactly where each tree is going. Also, you can move, rotate, and scale the trees even after painting them. So first, we'll replace the existing trees with our new foliage trees and place them properly. Now just continue placing trees into the scene. You can either paint them or place them one by one using single brush. It's completely up to you. While doing this, remember, we only need to place trees up to the end of the fence. There's no need to go beyond it, because our full layout will stay within this fenced area. You can also use different tree types and leave some empty spaces too. That's your creative choice. I'm placing trees gradually across the scene so that during lighting, everything is more readable. You can also adjust their scale as needed from the foliage settings. Now that we're done with the chestnut trees, it's time to use trees from the Yucca pack. We'll drag about 4 to 6 trees from the Yucca pack into the foliage tab. Then simply uncheck the blue tick for the trees you don't want to place and check only the ones you want to use. Now it's time to start placing these trees. We'll use the yucca trees around the house area, especially near the edges of the fence, to give the house a more garden-like feeling. You can adjust the scale of the trees and see how they look. Again, this step completely depends on your creativity, how you want your environment to feel. I'll now go ahead and start placing all these trees one by one in the scene. We'll do that at the very end when we work on lighting. Now let me show you how to change the color of these trees. It's super easy. Simply double-click on the tree whose color you want to change. Then click on its foliage material. Now scroll down a bit, and here you'll find the option called Color Mult. Just tweak this color setting and you can easily change the color of the tree. Isn't that cool? I'm going to give this tree a slightly orange-yellow tone to match the overall vibe. Now we need to fill the edges of the landscape. For that, we'll download a rock pack from Fab called Icelandic Volcano Terrain. This pack works really well. So go ahead and add to project. Here are the rock assets, which look almost like mountains. Now, we'll place these rocks along the edges of the landscape. We'll duplicate them, rotate, scale, and randomize them to make it look natural. Once one side is done, we'll copy the rocks to the other side as well. Using this method, we'll completely cover all the landscape borders, and that looks amazing. We'll download some rocks from Fab and start placing them randomly in the scene. I'll show these rock models on screen so you can see exactly what they look like. You can also find them easily by simply searching Quixel and then Rock in Fab. Once you have the rocks, just start placing them in the scene. Scale them up or down depending on where you want them. You can also use foliage mode if you want. To do that, simply drag the rocks into the foliage tab, then use the paintbrush to start painting them across the scene. Just make sure not to place the rocks too big, otherwise they'll look unnatural. Keep rotating, scaling, and moving them as needed to get a natural, randomized look. So far, we've only changed the color of one tree, but if we want, we can change the color of multiple trees individually by adjusting the color multiply settings for each one. This way, we can easily give different trees unique colors. Now it's time to paint the grasses. But before that, we need to download a grass model from Fab. The name of the pack is Grass Clumps. Go ahead and add it to your project. Here's the grass model in the scene. If you feel this grass looks too bright, you can use a different one instead. For example, there's another great grass pack called Temperate Vegetation. Let's add that to the project as well. This pack provides high-quality grass and you can simply drag it into your scene. Make sure the grass looks realistic for the environment you're creating. If none of the grasses look good even after trying them all, there's another solution. In the previous video, we used a grass from the Paragon pack while building the temple environment. We'll simply migrate that grass into our current scene. This way, we won't increase our project's storage size unnecessarily. First, go to the Kite Demo folder, where you'll find the grass asset. Right-click on that grass and go to Asset Actions, then select Migrate. We are only migrating the grass asset here, nothing else. After clicking OK, browse and locate your current project folder. Go inside the Content folder of your project and click Select Folder. It might take a little time to migrate, and that's it! Now you'll find a Kite Demo folder inside your project with that high-quality grass. This grass looks really good and realistic. Now we'll add the grass into the foliage tool and start painting it. Just make sure to set the scale and density properly before you begin. Then start painting only on the areas where you actually want grass. Let me give you a quick tip. Don't paint all the grass at once because that will put a heavy load on your PC and might create problems in the later stages. A simple suggestion is to do most of the grass painting after the lighting is done, at the end of the process. But for now, just to improve the look of the scene, I'll go ahead and paint the grass wherever I feel it's needed. Now, the pack I asked you to download earlier is called PN Meadow Flower. Inside this folder, you'll find a lot of attractive flowers. Just bring some of these flowers into the foliage mode and start painting them. Select a few flowers, drag them into the foliage tool, set the size and density properly, and begin painting. Right now, I'm going to paint this red flower, and a little later, we'll use some different types of flowers too. Once the red flower is done, simply go to Fab again and search for Quixel flower. You'll find plenty of high-quality flower models. I'll download a few of them, like the purple shamrock. You can also search by typing just Quixel and then bush. From there, we'll take this bush model called boxwood, which is perfect for creating a garden or house environment. Just click Add to Project and you're good to go. Another foliage pack that you should add is called Rose Hip. Add it to your project as well, and all of your grass and bush assets will be available in your Fab folder. Now we'll add one more grass to the project. Here it is on the screen. Just click Add to Project. Now it's time to place all these grasses along the road pathway. Simply take all the grass assets you downloaded and add them one by one to the foliage tool. We'll start placing them along the edges of the house. We'll also add some different foliage along the side railings of the house in a neat line. But before that, go to Fab and search for Quixel Pot. Choose any good-looking pot and click Add to Project. We'll place this pot where we want to add flowers near the house. Scale and move it into place so it fits nicely in the scene. Now select the pot and duplicate it 6 or 7 times to spread around the area. Next, we'll place our foliage directly on top of these pots, scale it slightly, and adjust it so it fits inside properly. Do the same with another foliage. Just drag it into foliage mode and place it on a different pot. We'll repeat this process until all 6 pots are filled with different foliage types. Try to mix and match different foliage so they don't all look the same. Make it feel natural and randomized. Once the pots are filled, we'll start duplicating and copying them multiple times as needed. Now let me show you one more thing. If you notice, when we move away from the foliage, the level of detail, LOD, decreases. That means the foliage appears in lower quality from a distance. To fix this, simply open the command prompt in Unreal Engine. Just press the foliage. Force LOD 0, now press Enter. And as you can see, no matter how far you go from the foliage, its quality won't drop. It stays sharp, which is nice, but for now, I'll reset it to default. So again, open the command prompt and type foliage. Force LOD 1 and press Enter. This resets the foliage settings back to default. Now you might be wondering, why did I reset it to default? Well, that's because this command should be used only at the end of your project. If you use it from the beginning, it'll load all foliage at full quality, which puts a heavy load on your PC. So always apply this command at the very end to avoid performance issues while building your scene. Now let's get back to our earlier process, decorating the road pathway with foliage. Try out different types of foliage and keep only the ones that look best in your scene. And one more thing, make sure you paint all foliage using foliage mode only. Because if you directly place foliage as static meshes, the LOD, level of detail, will drop from a distance, and the foliage command won't even work properly. So always use foliage mode to paint everything. Now start placing foliage along the edges of the road. Adjust the scale properly and then place each one manually with a single click. Yes, I know this process is a bit tedious, but if we want great output, we have to put in some extra effort. At this point, I'm going to change the position of the directional light to give the scene a sunset-like look. Now keep painting the foliage. Don't forget the other side of the road either. Place foliage one by one along both sides of the pathway, mix big and small ones, and arrange them a little bit forward and backward to keep things natural. Let's also try running the foliage command again to see how it looks now. Yes, it looks great. And finally, now we'll start placing non-flower foliage, the ones without flowers, right in the center of the house pathway. Keep them aligned in the middle for a clean look. Now we'll focus a bit on making the road look more detailed and realistic by adding some elements like soil or rust decals. This is super easy. Just go to Fab and search for Quixel decals. But first, clear the Quixel filter, and now search just decals. Start browsing and try to find the best water reflection decals. Keep looking. Here we find a great one called Mixed Soil. Add it to the project. This is a leaf decal, and it looks amazing. Now reduce its scale a bit and place it along the road, especially near the edges. Keep duplicating it multiple times to spread it around. Next, search for another decal called Leakage. This is a water reflection decal. Add it to the project as well. Simply drag this leakage decal into the scene, and boom, check it out. The water reflection looks super realistic. Now just scale it properly and start placing it along the edges of the road. Keep duplicating this water decal again and again. Fill one entire side of the road with these decals. Also duplicate and spread the leaf soil decal as well. Once you're done with the right side of the road, do the same thing on the left side too. Keep placing the decals one by one. To add some variation, you can rotate them and adjust the scale randomly. Keep placing more on the left side too. Now the reason I used water reflection decals here is because we have flowers in the garden, and we usually pour water on them. So this adds a more realistic touch to the flower bed and the road pathway. You can also place these near the house entrance. It's all up to your creativity. Don't forget to place the leaf soil decals multiple times too, so that it gives a slightly rusty, muddy flower bed kind of look. We also need to place some foliage around the trees. For that, you had downloaded the boxwood pack, right? Just drag it into the foliage mode and adjust its scale properly. Now start placing it one by one around the edges of this cube-shaped path. Also, try using different types of boxwood to keep the scene looking more natural and visually interesting. And finally, once all this is done, don't forget to save all. Now let's start placing the same foliage we used on the right side onto the left side of the road as well. Simply use the single brush to do this. Also, you might notice that some grass appears broken or scattered. Don't worry, it's just a bug. Just restart Unreal Engine and it will be fixed. Now continue painting the foliage one by one, and if you want, you can also paint some boxwood foliage in between, just like I'm doing here. Also, don't forget to add those boxwoods on the right side too, so the scene looks balanced. Once one side is done, move to the other side and repeat the same steps. Paint the foliage one by one along the edges of the road pathway. In between them, feel free to add different flowers and foliage randomly, so it looks natural and beautiful. And as always, don't forget to save all, so you don't lose any progress. Now we have even more beautiful flowers, so drag them into the foliage panel and adjust their scale. Then, using either the paintbrush or single brush, start placing them along the middle path of the house. We'll also place a few flowers on the sides here, and let's delete that pink flower for now. To add variation, we'll use different kinds of flowers, like this long-stemmed flower, white-colored flowers, and so on. There are many beautiful options, and we'll also continue placing them on the outer edges of the road as well. And that's all you need to do. If you face any issues with the asset packs or encounter any kind of problem, don't worry. Feel free to let me know in the comments. If I know the solution to your issue, I'll definitely help you out. Now, yes, painting all this takes a lot of time and effort, but just put on your headphones, play your favorite songs, and enjoy the process. Yes, it's a little tedious, but it's worth it. Which flowers you choose is totally up to you. It's all about your creativity. If you want, you can follow along and use the same flowers I'm using. There's no pressure at all. Just paint freely and enjoy the process. And now, look at the scene. It's slowly starting to look like a beautiful garden house. Now I'm going to teach you modeling, and we'll do it in Maya. But if you prefer, you can do the same in Blender as well. First of all, we need to go to Google and search for garden arch tunnel. You'll find plenty of great garden tunnel references there. We'll be modeling based on those references. And trust me, it's very easy to model. Just pick a design you like and build it accordingly. So for that, we'll first open Maya. If you prefer Blender, you can follow the same process there too. The method is simple in both. Once Maya is open, it's actually a very easy way to create a garden arch tunnel. So first, go to the Poly Modeling tab at the top and switch to the Curves or Surfaces section, then click on Circle. Now in the viewport, you'll see an empty circle. Press the spacebar on your keyboard. This will take you to the 4-view layout. Now switch to the front view and press spacebar again to focus on it. To rotate the circle, just like in Unreal, press E on the keyboard to bring up the rotation gizmo. Now rotate it towards the x-axis by 90 degrees. You can either rotate it manually or simply go to the channel box and type 90 in the X rotation field. Next, in the channel box, click on the inputs for the curve. Find the option called Sweep. Select it. And with middle mouse drag, you can adjust the curve shape easily. But to make a perfect half arch, just type 180 into the sweep value, and it will create a perfect 180-degree half circle. Now you can rotate and position it as needed. Now you need to select the half circle, then right-click with your mouse and from the options, click on Control Vertex. This will show you all the vertices of the curve. Now simply select the 2 bottom vertices. Press W on your keyboard and drag them down along the Z-axis. Once done, right-click again and switch back to Object Mode. Now move the arch slightly above the grid. To set the correct scale, we'll need to use a human reference model. Maya provides ready-made human models. So to get that, just go to the Window menu, then click on Content Browser. Inside the browser, you'll find a human model. Just double-click on it to bring it into your scene, then close the content. Now look, we'll scale the arch tunnel according to the height of this human. Adjust the scale and position of the arch until it fits well around the human. Once the size is right, you can go ahead and delete the human model. It's time to add thickness to our empty curve, and it's super simple. Just select the curve, then go to the top left corner and click on Create. From the drop-down, select Sweep Mesh. Now your model should appear with some thickness, just like this. From the Sweep Mesh settings, you can reduce the scale profile to control how thick the mesh appears. To increase or decrease subdivisions, you can tweak the interpolation settings. This will help smooth out or simplify your geometry depending on how detailed you want it. Also, there's an option to close the caps. Make sure to check that box so both ends of the arch are closed. Once you're happy with the shape and size of the arch, it's time to delete the inner curve that was used to generate the sweep. Here's the cleanup process. 1. First, select your final model. 2. Then go to Poly Modeling and click on Center Pivot Delete by History, Freeze Transform. 3. After that, open your outliner and simply delete the original curve used to create the sweep. It's time to duplicate the arch model. Simply select the model, then hold Shift and drag. This will create a copy. Place it as far as you want depending on how long you want your tunnel to be. Next, press Shift plus D on the keyboard. This repeats the last duplicate command. Keep pressing Shift plus D to quickly fill out the rest of the tunnel. Note, in Blender, the shortcut for duplicate and repeat is Ctrl plus R, but in Maya, it's Shift plus D. Once your tunnel is at the right length, it's time to create the side frames, like windows or support edges. 1. From Poly Modeling, select a cylinder. Scale and rotate it to make it thin and flat like a side beam. Place it on one side of the tunnel and adjust its position using the front view. Duplicate it to the other side. Now select both side cylinders, hold Shift and drag them down to copy them to the bottom. Keep duplicating these to create a repeating window-like frame along the arch. Once one side is done, simply select all these parts and duplicate them to the other side of the tunnel. You can build the same structure in Blender as well. The steps are quite similar. If anything is unclear, feel free to ask your questions in the comments. I'll definitely help you out. You can also create different variations of this arch tunnel by modifying the shape a bit. Get creative with it. Finally, when everything is done, press Ctrl+G to group all selected objects. Name the group as you prefer. Then don't forget to go to Center Pivot Delete by History Freeze Transform. These cleanup steps are very important. Make sure you don't skip them. Once everything is done, it's time to export the model. First, select the entire group. Then go to the top left corner and click on File. From the drop-down, choose Export Selection. Click on the small box icon next to it to open Export Options. In the file type, choose FBX Export. Now click Export Selection. A window will open asking where to save the file. Choose your location, give it a name, and click Export Selection again. Now that the model is exported, let's go back to Unreal Engine. Inside the content browser, create a new folder and name it Arch Tunnel. Then, drag and drop your FBX model into this folder. When the import panel opens, don't change any settings. Just click on Import. And that's it. Your model is now inside Unreal Engine, ready to use in your environment. Now that our arch model is inside the scene, we'll drag it into the viewport, adjust its scale a little, and position it properly where we want it. Next, it's time to apply a material. And this part is very simple. Just double-click on the material you want to use, and it will open in the Material Editor. Now, left-click 3 in the Material Editor to bring in Constant 3 Vector nodes. Or you can also simply search for Constant 3 Vector. We'll keep this color a bit grayish, like a metal surface. Next, right-click and search for Constant, and click to add that node as well. Now, connect this constant node to the metallic input and set its value to 1. Then just click Apply and Save, and check how the material looks in the viewport. If you want, you can tweak the color to make it a bit darker gray for a more realistic metal feel. Now, notice that the normals are not correct, and the surface looks too smooth. To fix this, we need to go into Modeling mode. In the Attribute Editor, you'll find the Normals option. By adjusting this, you'll notice the edges become sharper. Click Accept to finalize the changes. Next, select all the parts and press Ctrl+G to group them together. Now, you can scale this group as needed and place it in the desired position. And that's it. Our arch tunnel model is ready. The next step is to add some grass hanging around the arch. I will show you how to do that in the next part. Now that all this is done, our environment is almost complete. It won't take much time from here. Take the arch tunnel you created earlier and place a copy on the left side of the house as well. This will make the scene feel more filled out. Just like I've placed it here, take a look. Now it's time to customize this arch tunnel. So first, go to the Landscape mode, switch to the Paint tab, and pick a material that looks like a road texture. Start painting along the path of the tunnel. You can even try different textures to see what fits. For example, I painted with material E, which looks more like sand, and I really liked how it turned out. To erase the paint, just hold Shift and drag over the area you want to remove, and it's that simple. Once that's done, switch back to Selection mode. And one more thing. Don't forget to paint a similar road path for the tunnel you placed on the left side of the house as well. That way, the whole scene will feel more connected and believable. Now we'll go into Foliage mode, and I'll start painting boxwood foliage along the edges of the arch tunnel, one by one, using the single brush tool. Make sure to carefully paint on each of the metal rods, just like I'm doing here. Once you finish one side, do the same on the other side. The left side of the arch tunnel, then repeat the same process for the arch tunnel placed on the left side of the house. Yes, this method takes a lot of effort and manual work, but trust me, it's totally worth it for the final look. Now we'll deselect the boxwood foliage from the Foliage tab, and it's time to paint some different flowers. Take this particular flower and place it right between the two boxwood foliage plants. Just keep repeating this step for all the sections, and after that, do the same thing on the left side as well, placing the flower in between the two boxwood foliage. Now, one thing to notice, the top rod of the model we created doesn't extend all the way to the end, so first we'll need to ungroup everything. Then simply select that top rod and scale it along the Y-axis to stretch it fully. And that's it. Now, here's an important and final step. You'll need to manually reselect all the parts again to group them. Yes, it can be a bit time-consuming, but no worries. Once everything is selected, just press Ctrl plus G to group it back together. One more thing. The tree in front of our house seems to have disappeared. Not sure where it went. So we'll simply go back to the Foliage tab, select that same tree, and place it again in the scene. Use the Select tool to adjust its scale as needed, and that's it. Our middle tree is back in place. It's time to place trees along the edge of the arch tunnel, so for that we'll select this leafy tree from the Chestnuts tree pack and paint it using the single brush. Just click to place it. Right now you might notice the tree looks a bit weird. Let's move it to the side and check. We'll drag it from the content browser, and this is how the tree should look. Now don't panic when you see this issue, and it's a common and very easy fix. We'll need to use a command prompt inside Unreal. So down here, type foliage /D0 and hit enter. This will fix the foliage glitch. But now the scene feels very heavy and laggy, right? So to fix that, we'll tweak the command a bit. Just type foliage.force LOD1 and press enter. That's it. Now everything looks fine, and the scene runs smoothly. Now simply use the Select tool to move the tree and position it nicely. If you want, you can also use a different tree like this one. Just delete the first one and place this smaller, better tree instead. Now move it closer to the metal edge of the tunnel, just like I'm doing, and then simply duplicate this tree multiple times along the tunnel. And now I'm going to share a secret tip about this tree pack. You can actually change the color of the chestnuts on this tree. Here's how. Just double-click the model to open it. Then go to Element 1's material and double-click it. Now you'll see the settings for the chestnuts. Here, you'll notice there's a color multiplier option. Using this, you can change the color of the chestnuts on this tree. Cool, right? I'm going to set mine to a yellowish tone, but you can go with any color you like. You can also change the color of the leaves. To do that, open the material of Element 2 inside the model, and just like before, adjust the color multiplier to any color you want. But for now, I'm not changing the leaf color. Once you're done, just click Save. The scene is still feeling a bit heavy, mostly because of the foliage. So for that, we'll go back to the command prompt and change the command again. First, type foliage.forcelod2 and press enter. But it still doesn't look quite right. So now type foliage.forcelod-1 and press enter. And that's it. Now it's working properly. Later, when your scene is fully complete, you can switch this value back to 1 or 2, but for now, just keep it at -1. We'll grab this tree again and keep copying it forward. Here, try placing the trees by skipping every alternate metal bar, just like I'm doing. You might notice some foliage flickering from a distance. Don't worry about it. That will get fixed once we set the command prompt back to 1 or 2 later. Now we'll duplicate this same tree and add it back into the foliage tool. Then start painting with the single brush again on the left side. Use the Select tool to move and rotate it as needed. But wait, why did we duplicate it? Because we want to change the leaf color of this copy to orange. We duplicated it so the other trees don't get affected. They'll still have the yellowish leaves. Now you can also go to the right side, delete every second tree, and replace it with this new orange-colored tree. Keep copying it like this and placing it to create a nice randomized look, like different colored trees placed in alternate lines. You can even use more color variations if you want. But for now, I'll keep it like this. Just copy and place it here and there, and now look at how beautiful this arch tunnel is starting to look. We're not going to leave this house plain white. We'll change its color. To do that, just go to the material settings and adjust the tint color. I'll set the base color of this house to something yellowish so it starts looking even more attractive and eye-catching. And one more thing. The same thing we did with the arch tunnel on the right, we also need to do it on the arch tunnel on the left side of the house. Place the same boxwood, add the flower, and keep placing trees of different types along the edges of the iron structure. I'll fast forward this part now. And that's it. It's all done. Alright, so the glittering or flickering you're seeing in the foliage, that's happening because we reduced the command value earlier. You can easily fix it using the command prompt. Just type foliage, forcelod0 and hit enter, and it'll be fixed. But right now the scene is lagging a lot because of this, so I'll change it back to -1 for now. Later, when you're ready to render, you can set it to 0 again. But for now, keeping it at -1 is the best option. It's time to decorate the arch tunnel a bit more. So we're going to add hanging vines just like I added in the previous video. We'll migrate those same vine assets into this scene. These vines are from the Infinity Blade Grasslands pack, but I noticed that this pack is currently not available on Fab Marketplace. However, I had already saved it in my Unreal Marketplace library a long time ago, so I can still use it. You can check if it becomes available on Fab later. Anyway, let's migrate it now. First, select the Vine Mesh and press Ctrl+B. This will take us directly to the model's content path. Now select all three Vine assets, then right-click, go to Asset Actions, and click on Migrate. Click OK, and now browse to your Unreal Projects content folder. Finally, click on Select Folder, and that's it. The Vine assets are now successfully migrated into our project. Now in the content browser, you'll see a folder named Infinity Blade. Double-click to open it, and then enable the Static Mesh filter. Here we go. These are the vines. At these, simply drag one of them into the scene and place it near our arch tunnel's ceiling. We'll position this type of vine on top of the arc tunnel. Now let's take the other vine meshes and place them along the edges. Just move and rotate them slightly to adjust their position as needed. Take your time to align them nicely with the tunnel structure. We need to rotate these vines properly and duplicate them forward along the tunnel. To add some randomness, you can rotate and scale them differently as you go. Just keep duplicating them until you reach the end of the tunnel. Once done, select all these vine meshes, align them properly line by line, and then duplicate them to the left side. To mirror them, simply right-click on the selection, go to Transform, and click on Mirror on Y-axis. This will flip the vines to the opposite side of the tunnel. Now let's move the top vine models slightly to get them into perfect position. By the way, if you're not able to find the Infinity Blade Grasslands pack, you can also use other foliage assets to decorate your scene. Additionally, in the Unreal Sensei pack you downloaded earlier, you'll find some wall leaves. You can use those too. Like I'm doing now, I'll scale them down a bit, rotate, and adjust their position to place them nicely in the scene. You can duplicate them and also try out different types of vines available in your other packs. Just rotate and scale them as needed and place them creatively. You can fill up this entire scene as you like. You can also add various types of grass foliage. It all depends on you. So keep placing the vines using scale and rotation, and keep duplicating slowly as you move forward, like I'm doing. And yes, don't forget to save all the scene. Now let's also adjust the top vines by moving and scaling them properly. Next, select all the wall leaves and duplicate them to the left side. Don't forget to mirror them again and place them carefully on the left as well. Also want to add 2 wall leaves on the edges of the top vine. Then I'll select all 3 and duplicate them multiple times. Now look, the arch tunnel is looking really beautiful. And yes, one more thing. You need to do the same process on the arch tunnel near the left side of the house. Yes, I know it's a bit tiring to do the same thing again, but no worries. If you want, you can either place them again on the left side or delete them altogether. But now, let's select all the vines and wall leaves, both on the left and right sides and also from the top. Then duplicate everything and move them toward the left house side. Now just rotate them 90 degrees and place them in the arch tunnel near the left house. And that's it. Our arch tunnel is complete. That all of this is done, we're going to add some 3D models into our scene. For example, I have a pack here called Old West Vol 5 Town Props. We'll import this into our project. You can find these assets inside the Old West folder in the content browser. Now you might be wondering, why are there only 5 assets in this pack? That's because I created a separate Unreal project just for this pack, and then migrated only 5 assets from it, mainly to save storage space. But if you want, you can simply add the entire pack to your project. Inside this, you'll find a high-quality chair, and we'll decide where to place it in the scene, based on what fits best. There are also different types of chairs in this pack, so go ahead and start placing them in the scene too. You'll also get a chest box in the pack. You can place that in your scene as well. Right now, I'm placing all of these objects randomly as per my preference. You can go ahead and place them in your own style to make the scene look even better. Also on the left side of the house, there's an empty area that looks like a garden. We'll place some chairs there as well and adjust them using rotation and scale. You can continue placing the boxes, chests, and chairs throughout this area. Place this chest on the right side, a bit towards the back, and you can also add it to the open garden area. Now, this one looks like a sofa-style chair. Keep placing it around the space. For more variety in models, there's another pack called Old West Volt 2, Tradesman Tools and Props. We'll add this pack to our project too. And while this pack is downloading, let's take a moment to improve the foliage. Let's place boxwood foliage along the fence of the house. Just make sure they're not overlapping with each other, so paint them with a bit of spacing. Paint it all around the house near the fences. Also, we'll now start placing these blue flowers on and around the boxwood foliage. Using a single brush, start placing them near the edges of the house as well. And don't forget to paint boxwood inside the fences too, on all four sides of the house. Just use single clicks with the brush to place them neatly. Now here, using the selection tool, we'll grab one boxwood foliage and scale it upwards. After scaling it a bit, just stretch it vertically so it gives a more awesome, taller foliage look. Now simply duplicate it side by side and place it around the house. But avoid placing it in the front or on the right side of the house so that the scene feels more balanced and aesthetically pleasing. Also, let's move this tree a bit towards the back. This will help it look nicer in the overall layout. Now our asset pack has finished downloading. I had imported it into another project so I could extract only the necessary assets and save on storage space. From there, I selected some old-style vehicle-type models and migrated them into our current scene. Here's the model. Just drag it into the scene and place it towards the right side of the house. Now we need to start placing some random rocks from here. Scale them down to make them smaller and then move them slightly into the ground. We'll keep duplicating them like this repeatedly. Using rotation, scale, and move tools, try to blend the rocks naturally into the scene. Also fill the front area of the house with these rocks. Repeat the same process on the left side of the house as well. Now it's time to paint a lot of flowers into the scene. We'll start with this red flower and use the paintbrush to paint it over the grass. Also drag the brush along the edges of the arch tunnel. Just like we did on the left, do the same on the right side near the house, around trees, and all over. Except the middle of the road, then move to the backside garden area of the house and keep painting. Don't stop. Now we'll also start painting grass to fill up the scene. For this, switch to unlit mode by pressing Alt+3 and continue painting grass around every tree, along fences and wherever it's needed. Once that's done, switch back to lit mode and check the result. Painting doesn't mean we should cover a huge area blindly. Keep your PC specs in mind so the scene doesn't become too heavy. I'll be painting grass in every empty area, but there's no need to go too far since we'll be adding trees in the distant parts, which will block the background view anyway. Also paint grass inside the house area and in the left tunnel beside the house. Make sure your static mesh is turned off so grass doesn't get painted directly on meshes. Increase the brush size and click from a distance to paint lightly, and finally, save all your scene. And now, let's continue painting this red flower in all the empty spaces. Wherever you see empty grassy areas inside the arch tunnel, just simply paint the red flower there. Also, on the right side of the house, make sure to paint this red flower as well. Just increase the brush size a bit and keep painting as you go. Now it's time for some different types of flowers. Here's another flower that looks like this. We'll be painting this one too. Just a reminder, all the flowers I'm showing you are from the packs I asked you to download, and they're completely free. So take this blue flower, adjust its scale properly, and then start painting. But be careful not to overdo it in one spot, or it might not look good. Instead, paint it gradually, little by little. For better visibility, switch to unlit mode while painting. You should paint this blue flower around the house and especially in the garden area to increase the quantity there. It's really easy, just paint wherever it feels right. And don't forget to paint inside the arch tunnel too. We want that area to look beautiful as well. Now, increase the brush size and do a few one-click paints to spread it out nicely. And along with that, you also need to paint on the middle pathway of the house using a single brush. Just start painting along the edges of all the foliage, especially along the edges of the boxwood. Paint it freely. But there's one thing you do need to keep in mind. Don't paint more than your PC can handle. Always be aware of your system's limits. Now, place the blue flowers next to the red ones, side by side. This will give the whole scene a nice randomized, natural feel. Now we'll use another flower, a white one which adds a different color to the scene. First, set its scale properly and then follow the same process. We're going to paint it. Start by painting on the right side of the house. Since white flowers stand out more, try to keep them minimal using a single brush, exactly like I'm doing here, just one click at a time. Also, place a few of them around the middle tree, again by clicking one by one. In some of the larger areas, you can paint a bit more to fill up space. For example, in the garden area on the left side of the house, just lightly paint some. Behind the house, it's simple. Just fill it in like the rest. Increase the brush size quite a bit and start painting farther distances. And don't forget your arch tunnel. Place white flowers there as well. Now for the second arch tunnel, do the same. Paint properly all the way through. Also add them near the house fence and even on the middle pathway of the house. One by one. Now here on the right side pathway, continue placing the white flowers the same way, with single clicks. We're just trying to complete the scene. So paint these white flowers on both left and right sides of the house, especially along the edges of the left and right pathways, placing them one by one. And now comes the purple flower. Just like before, set its size properly and start painting it using the single brush tool one by one. We'll also paint this on the middle pathway of the house. Simply click and place it as you go. Make sure to increase its scale slightly and adjust the size as needed. Keep painting across the entire pathway in the same way, balanced and not too dense. And that's it. Foliage placement from my side is now complete. Now we just have to fill in the remaining trees and the scene is almost ready. If you want, you can also add some random foliage or flowers on it that totally depends on your style and needs. Once you're done placing the purple flower all around, we'll now move on to boxwood. Go ahead and paint boxwood foliage across the scene to make everything feel more full and natural. Just remember to scale it down a little so it blends in nicely with the rest of the elements. Boxwood is a beautiful, high-quality foliage type, and you can use it in many creative ways to enhance the look of your environment. It's time for the trees. Let's start by placing the red trees behind the house, and we'll add the yellow trees around the backside as well. Use the single brush tool and click one by one to place them. Place red trees along the back fence line, and feel free to adjust the tree placement according to your own style. You can use a mix of green, yellow, and red trees to bring a more colorful and natural look to the scene. If any tree feels too big, just select it and scale it down to fit the scene better. Make sure to place more green trees, a moderate amount of yellow, and fewer red trees, because red trees are more eye-catching and can easily become the focus. Just keep painting the trees like this and fill out the entire area nicely. It's a great way to complete the scene beautifully. We'll also be placing this spiky tree from the yucca pack. Place it here and there throughout the scene in small patches. Don't forget to add these around the second arc tunnel as well. If you see any empty or black patches on the ground, especially under the foliage, make sure to fill those areas with these trees too. The goal is to fill up the scene completely with a nice balance of trees, grass, and flowers. Only then will we get that lush garden environment look. And that's it. The tree placement work is now complete. Of course, you can add more trees wherever you feel necessary, based on your own preference. This is the setup I'm going with. You can even experiment with changing the colors of the trees for more variation. Give it a try. Once everything is done, we'll download one more amazing pack, Epic Zen Garden. This pack contains elements that will make our garden environment look really attractive. Simply click on Add to My Library to get started. Now, go to the Epic Games Launcher and click on Create Project. From here, browse and choose the location where you want the project. Make sure to select the highest possible version available. For example, if it shows Unreal Engine 4.23, select that and click on Create Project. Once the project is created, you'll see it in your project list. Now go inside its content folder, press Ctrl-A to select everything and copy all the files. Then come back to your main project, go into its content folder and simply paste everything there. Then you'll find a folder named Effects. Double-click to open it. Inside that, go to the Particles folder. Here, you'll find some really beautiful particle effects like birds flying animations, which are created using Niagara. Now here you'll find a folder named Dragonfly. Open it. Drag the Niagara particle system directly into your scene. Look at this. The dragonfly flying animation looks really cool, doesn't it? We'll move this to the right side of the house like this. Then simply duplicate it and place it on the left side as well. We'll also place the same dragonfly Niagara particle in the middle of the arc tunnel. Right now, it might not be highly visible in the viewport, but it will appear beautifully in the final render. Now that the dragonflies are placed correctly, let's go to the butterfly folder. Inside it, open the trans folder. From here, drag the second Niagara particle into the scene, and boom! You'll see a beautiful butterfly flying animation. You can try different ones too. For example, the third Niagara system has butterflies that look even better. Simply move it and place it on the right side of the house like this. If they appear too large, you can scale them down as needed. Inside the Niagara particle system, set the custom time dilation to 0.4 so the butterflies spawn more slowly and smoothly. Now just duplicate it and place it on the left side of the house and also in front of the house, anywhere it would look cinematic in the final render. One more thing. Let's also place a butterfly Niagara particle system in the middle of our arc tunnel because we're going to capture a camera shot from inside the tunnel. Also, don't forget to add the same Niagara system inside the second arc tunnel as well. The scale looks a bit too large right now, so feel free to adjust the scale as needed to fit your scene better. Now, let's also add some dust particles to make the environment feel more alive. For this, go to the Content browser, open the Starter Content folder, and then go into the Particles folder. Here you'll find a system named p_ambient_dust. Simply drag it into your scene. Place it in front of the house and also duplicate it along the road pathway and inside the arc tunnel as well. This dust particle system looks great. It might not be very visible in the viewport, but it will definitely show up well in the final render and enhance the dust in the air feel of your environment. Now you'll find a folder named Leaves inside the Effects section. Open that folder and drag one of the leaf particle systems into the scene. These are some beautiful pink-colored falling leaves, and they look great. We'll now duplicate this particle system and place it in multiple areas. Make sure to place one in front of the house and don't forget to also place it in the middle of the arc tunnel. You can try out different types of leaf particles from this folder to add variety. Personally, I like to place these particles at the very start of the level, so that the first camera shot looks visually stunning as soon as it starts. You can also rotate and adjust the placement to control where the leaves fall. It's time to add the birds to the scene. Inside the same effects folder, you'll find a birds folder. From here, you can try out different bird particle systems and see which one looks best for your scene. I'll now select and place a few bird systems that suit the atmosphere of this environment. Once you're done placing them, don't forget to click Save All to save your scene properly. Now, we're going to download one more pack called Rural Australia. Just add it to your project. Inside the Rural Australia pack, you'll find Falling Leaves Niagara particles under the Effects folder. Simply drag and place them near your trees so it looks like leaves are naturally falling from them. You can duplicate and place them around the scene, but do keep one thing in mind. If a model doesn't have collision, the falling leaves might get stuck in midair. So, make sure to avoid placing these particles too close to models that don't have collision. Now finally, let's try to fill out the scene even more because why not? Add more trees, pack the background completely, and make sure no empty spaces are visible. This way, we'll cover all the lower empty areas too. And now I'm also going to increase the number of trees just a bit more. And that's it. Everything looks awesome now. All right, now it's time to tweak the lighting a bit. So first, in the Details panel of the Exponential Height Fog, make sure to enable Volumetric Fog. Then scroll down and adjust the extinction scale. This controls how dense your fog looks. You can either keep it light or make it denser, depending on your scene. Just play around with the settings a little until you get the look you want. Next, go to the Details panel of the Directional Light and increase the source angle. This helps in softening the shadows. Also, under directional light settings, you can increase the volumetric scattering intensity. This lets you control the fog density through the light, making it thicker or lighter. These settings are great for achieving God ray effects, but for now I'm not going to use God rays in this scene. You can rotate the directional light, sunlight, by pressing Ctrl plus L and set the light direction the way you want. Also, set the intensity scale of the skylight to 2 for better lighting in the scene. In the post-process volume, go to the Details panel, enable Bloom, and change the method from Standard to Convolution. Then adjust the intensity according to your preference. Now switch from Lit mode to Detail Lighting mode and check how the lighting looks. If it seems too dark in front of the house, place a rect light there. Move and rotate the rect light to position it correctly. Then switch back to Lit mode, adjust its position from different angles, and fine-tune its intensity. Now simply place rect lights wherever you notice dark spots in the scene. But be careful not to make them too bright. Keep the intensity within limits. Also, there's too much darkness around the trees at the edges, so we'll add rect lights there too. Keep placing rect lights and keep checking in detail lighting mode as well. You can increase the source width and source height of the rect light as needed while placing it. In the exponential height fog, reduce the fog height falloff. This will increase the fog in the background, making distant mountains more visible, which looks nice. Also, make sure to adjust the rect light properly and rotate the sun a bit to set the lighting direction correctly. Now, after all this, it's time to create the fog material, and it's a very easy process. First, create a new folder and name it Fog. Inside that folder, right-click and create a new material and name it Fog Material. Double-click to open it and then maximize the Material Editor panel. Now simply set the blend mode to translucent. Then right-click in the Material Editor and search for Radial Gradient Exponential. Take that node and connect its output to the base color input. Right-click and search for the Multiply node. Take it and place it in the material. Then go to the Content Browser greater than all and search for a good noise texture. Drag that noise texture into this material and connect it to the Multiply node. Then connect the output of the Multiply node to the Opacity input. Now search for another node called Depth Fade and add it to the material. Also take one more Multiply node. You can press M plus left click to quickly create it. Connect the output of the Depth Fade node to input B of the second Multiply node, then connect the output of this second Multiply node to input B of the first Multiply node. Finally, connect the Radial Gradient Exponential node again to the input A of the second Multiply node. Now, in the Depth Fade node, right-click on the Opacity input and select Promote to Parameter. Do the same with the Fade Distance input. Right-click and choose Promote to Parameter. Then set the value of both parameters to 1 and 1. Now take a node called Panner node. Simply press P on the keyboard and click to bring up the Panner node. You can also search for it. Connect this Panner node to the noise texture, and in its speed input, right-click and select Promote to Parameter. Set the value to 0.005. This will make the fog rotate slowly. Now simply click Apply and Save. Then select all the nodes, press C to create a group. Name this group Fog. It's like a group for easy identification. And that's it. Our fog material is ready. Just apply and save. Now take a plane from the viewport and right-click on the fog material and choose Create Material Instance. Then drag and drop this material instance onto the plane. Now you can adjust the 3 parameter values you created earlier, like opacity, fade distance, speed. And if you want to change the color, it's simple. Just go back to the master material, add a multiply node and a constant vector node. To get the constant vector, simply press 3 on the keyboard and left-click. Now, connect the radial gradient exponential and the constant 3 vector into the multiply node, and connect the output of multiply to the base color. This way, you can change the color of the fog just by modifying the constant 3 vector node. Now, place this fog plane in the scene, rotate it a bit and scale it. Reduce its opacity a little. You can make the fog bigger or smaller and place it wherever needed. Near the trees, on the right side of the house, wherever you want. That's all you need to do. Just place it as required. Now, drag and drop all these fog materials in the scene and our scene is about 90% complete. Next up is the camera animation and setting up the HDRI. To add HDRI, go to the top left corner and open Edit, Plugins, then search for HDRI. You will see HDRI Backdrop. Enable it and then restart your PC. After reopening Unreal, to place HDRI in the scene, click the plus button, go to Lights, and you will find HDRI Backdrop there. Simply drag it into your scene and lower it on the Z-axis. By default, this HDRI is very small, so set its size to 150,000.0 to make it bigger. Now the size is correct, and you can delete the volumetric clouds from it. Now you are ready to add your desired sky or HDRI texture. For this, simply search Polyhaven on Google. You will find many free HDRI skies available. Choose a nice sky, make sure to download it in 4K and HDR format. Once downloaded, just drag the HDRI file into your content browser in Unreal. Now select your HDRI backdrop in the scene, then select the HDRI texture you imported. Click the small arrow switch next to the HDRI texture to apply it. You can also drag and drop the HDRI texture onto the HDRI backdrop. If you see water or unwanted reflections, just lower the HDRI backdrop on the Z-axis to adjust it. That's it! If this HDRI is not good enough, we can try different types of HDRIs. After selecting the HDRI, go below and find the skylight in the scene. Click on it, and in the Details panel, set Source Type to S-Specified Cube Map. Also make sure Real-Time Capture is checked or turned on. You can also drag the same HDRI texture directly onto the skylight. If the HDRI looks too bright, double-click on the HDRI asset to open its settings. Here you can adjust the brightness and other parameters. I adjust it according to my preference. Now, let's try another HDRI. This one is the last and best one. Download it, bring it into the content browser, and drag it onto the HDRI backdrop in the scene. Rotate this HDRI a little to set the right direction and reduce its intensity to around 0.5. You can also rotate the directional light to see how the lighting changes. After properly setting the HDRI backdrop, our environment is complete. Now it's time for the camera animation. So, first go to the content browser and create a folder named Sequence. Inside that folder, click the film icon at the top, then click Add Level Sequence. Name this sequence Garden House. This will open the sequence editor for you. Now, in this sequence, click on the camera icon to add a camera. Select this camera and set its film back setting to 16:9 DSLR. Set the current focal length to 18 and increase the current aperture as well. Next, move the timeline to the point where you want the camera to start. Go to the Transform section and click on the Add Key icon in the middle. This sets the first keyframe for the camera. Now, move the timeline forward to where you want the camera movement to end. Move the camera to the desired position and again click the Add Key icon under Transform. Finally, right-click on the first keyframe in the timeline and set it to Linear Interpolation. And that's it. Your camera animation is done. If you want the camera to move inside the arc tunnel, first delete all the existing keyframes. Move the timeline to the first frame, position the camera at the start of the arc tunnel, and add a keyframe in the Transform section. Now move the timeline forward to where you want the camera to end inside the tunnel. Move the camera forward inside the tunnel accordingly and add another keyframe. And that's it. Now your camera animation will smoothly move through the arc tunnel. Look how cool this camera animation looks. Now it's time to render the scene. First, go to Edit Greater Than Plugins, search for Movie, and enable both Movie Render Queue and Movie Render Queue Additional Render Passes plugins. After enabling, restart your PC. Once your PC restarts, go to Window Greater Than Cinematics, and here you will find Movie Render Queue. Simply click on it to open. Now click on the plus render button and select your sequence, which is Garden House. Then go to Unsaved Config. Here, you need to set up the settings. First, delete JPEG from the output formats. Click on Settings, select Anti-Aliasing, and set the samples value to 32. Again, go to Settings and select Camera, then set Frame Center to Frame Close. Next, we need to add console variables. Click the plus twice to add two console commands. First, type r.screen percentage and set its value to 100. Second, type foliage.forceLoad and set its value to 0. After this, from Settings, add Game Override and High Resolution. Then add EXR sequence for the output format. Now go to the Output section and set the FPS to 30. Select your folder directory where you want to save the render. Finally, click Accept and then Render Local. Your cinematic render will start. That's it. In this video, we've learned a lot together. If you find anything confusing or face any issues with any pack or step, feel free to ask your questions in the comments. I'll try my best to help you with the solutions. That's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Your one subscription means a lot and motivates me to make more videos like this. I'll see you in my next tutorial on the best Japanese temple environment.